Hey guys, this is my review for DeadCore. So this game is basically an action platformer puzzle sort of game. Although I technically wouldn't really want to class it as an action game because it's not exactly like first person shooter Call of Duty action. It's more like shoot some random box thing and it does something. It's not really like killing stuff sort of thing in the game that you would expect when you're playing action. It's just action as in it has some sort of combat aspect in the game. So the puzzle is not really like a think about it sort of puzzle. It's more just a timing game where you just sit in a spot and wait for the opportune moment to move, and then you'd press like E to use your speed if you really needed it. Otherwise you would just go about the map quite calmly, just sticking to your thing. Probably this game's quite hard to rate based on the fact that there were so many things about this game that I absolutely hated, and pretty much playing this game was kind of annoying because some stages I really liked and other stages I absolutely hated, and they just made me want to murder this game. Probably one of the downsides to this game is the fact that they've added in so many animations and so many particle effects that it does lag, especially on the stage called The Storm. I had so much lag on that stage. Like, I went from playing the game on ultra settings right down to pretty much low, just so that I could get by with like a reasonable amount of frames per second. Because pretty much I went from 60 frames per second down to about 5 or 10 at certain parts of the stage. It just made me want to rage so much. Otherwise, there were a small couple of bugs in the game, such as like enemies following you back to the spawn point rather than staying in the actual area that they're meant to have been in. Which most of the enemies do to that. They sort of have their certain area that they stick to. But there were particular enemies that just seemed to want to follow me every single place that I ever went to. And they'd just like, they'd be there when I would spawn and they'd just immediately start attacking me. And it would take me a while. I'd pretty much have to like disable them, then respawn, then quickly move, otherwise my character would just be constantly stuck there. Some other bugs, I think there was a couple like jumping things which really annoyed me, where like double jump didn't seem to want to work at certain areas. But otherwise, the game wasn't too bad. It's fun, it's very short. I think it's got 5 or 6 stages. They take about roughly 10 to 40 minutes each to complete. So you're looking at around 3 to 5 hours of gameplay, and then you've also got the added option of doing what's called speedrun, which is basically where you try and do the stages as fast as possible, and then it scores your time, and then you can pretty much compete with other people around the world trying to get the fastest time. Would I actually really be bothered to do that? No, because I mean, it's not that fun, and once you've worked out how to do a challenge, you can't really be bothered doing it again. But there are extra parts to stages that aren't necessarily, well, they're like different areas, because you can kind of choose a set path to go along, and then there's also hidden objects on those paths that you can find. So if you wanted to find all the objects, you'd have to play the stage most likely again, especially since I think there were a couple stages where you didn't actually have the powers you needed to unlock the special items, which means that you would have to go back to those stages to find them and unlock them. But I, of course, could not be bothered doing it, because I mean, the game was alright, but it's not so fun that you'd really want to just continuously play it. Otherwise, I think they have like this music thing where you can find new tracks for music. I personally did not like the music to this game. I thought it was kind of boring. I think most of the music seems to be like this really fast-paced sort of thing to try and like, I don't know, it sort of doesn't really sink in with the speed of the game. It's just, I think it was just too fast. The sort of music that I was getting anyway from the tracks that I unlocked during the game, and they all seemed to not really fit in with what I was doing. I would probably prefer some sort of calming music, but then I guess that's how they like make the game slightly harder, is just having music that doesn't really fit in, so it sort of puts you off your timing, since this game is completely about timing. pretty much you want to win, just take your time. There's not a huge challenge to this game. I think when I was looking at this game, I read that someone said that it's an incredibly hard game and it's only meant for advanced, like, gamers. Pretty much playing this game, I would say, anyone could play it as long as you are a patient person. If you're impatient, this game probably isn't for you. If you're looking for action game, this game is not for you. This game's probably for people who prefer platformers. I'm not sure if there's a game I would compare to this one. I know that a lot of people compared it to Portal 2. I would definitely not compare this to Portal 2. This is nothing like it. Portal 2 is actually a puzzle game. There's actual things you have to think about in it. In this game, it's speed, jumping, and pretty much just timing. There's not a puzzle to work out that you have to wait like 2 seconds before jumping somewhere. That is not a puzzle. Whereas like Portal 2, you actually have to work out where to put something to make something move, and then there's physics involved. This game doesn't really abide to the physics. And Portal 2 actually has a storyline. This game has like the weakest storyline ever. Pretty much, you get like this intro video, which is you falling from the tower, and then you get this outro video, which is you at the top of the tower. And then, like, even though the outro makes no sense, because you like make it to the top of the tower, and then you turn the tower on, and then it shows like all these satellites and stuff powering on. But when you're actually climbing up the tower, everything's already turned on, so the whole point of like the story was nothing, pretty much. It's like you fell off this tower, then you need to get back up to turn on, even though it's already on. So it was kind of like playing a pointless storyline, pretty much. I don't even know why they bothered to include it. This game, obviously, I thought it looked quite cool. I thought the graphics were quite well done. But I think they probably could have polished it a little bit more, made it a little bit better. Perhaps added a few actual puzzles, since it's meant to be a puzzle game. I probably would just call this like a speed running platformer game. I wouldn't bother with thinking that it's a puzzle game, especially if you're considering playing this thinking that it has some sort of thinking involved in it. You're probably wrong. The thinking is like so minimal, it's just not really worth bothering. Otherwise, once you get all the bugs, the terrible lag issues that this game has for some reason, no idea why, there's no options, like advanced options for people that want to change the settings, because obviously, perhaps if they got rid of the excessive amounts of clouds that they use on some stages, and they seem to like load the entire stage into one map, where it's got like levels and then all the animations are constantly going at once. They do have field of view, but it's not really that good. It only really takes off the bad, like square, cubey, monstery things which bounce you around. But I think if they got rid of all that sort of stuff, it would really make the game a lot easier to play. So it's like I can run stuff like Far Cry 4 and stuff on ultra settings, and then you come to this game, and like on that one level, you can't even really, like, even on low, it's just so much lag. I don't know, maybe it was some sort of issue with my computer, or something that I was having on that stage, because I'm sure if like heaps of people were having issues with it, then they would probably have posted about it to the developer. But obviously, it might have just been me. But personally, it annoyed me so much, because it pretty much made me have to spend like close to 2 hours trying to complete that one stage just due to lag, which pretty much really just enraged me a lot. But overall, I mean, this game was okay. I would definitely never play this again. It was not that fun. If they ever make a number 2 to this game, I would definitely not buy it. I mean, yeah, no. I'm only going to give this game like a 4 out of 10, because I did have fun for a little while, and I thought it was rather interesting at the beginning, and I thought it was going to turn into like this whole exciting story sort of thing, like you fall off the thing and then you're working out how or why you fell off. But no, nothing like that. It was just boring running back and forth sort of thing. But I love the graphics style that they did in this game. I thought it looked really cool. But yeah. So, if you don't agree with my opinion, or you do agree with it, let me know what you thought of the game in the comments below this video. Otherwise, I'm only going to give this game a 4 out of 10, because it wasn't that amazing. Okay guys, see ya.